One day, there was a girl named Megan who rushed home from school to finish her math homework. She knew that once she finished her math homework, she could help her mom bake cupcakes for the party they were hosting this weekend. As soon as her mom walks in the door, Megan rushes to her and tells her she didn't understand her math homework, but she really wants to be able to help her bake the cupcakes. Her mom says, "Okay, well let's take a look at it." Megan tells her mom that they're learning all about multiplication properties. The first thing Megan got to is called the Commutative Property. Her mom says, "Well, it's been a long time since I've taken an algebra class. Why don't you go ahead and tell me what that means?" Megan says, "The commutative property is when two numbers are multiplied together, the product is the same regardless of the order of the numbers." Her mom says, "Okay, I've got an idea. Why don't we go ahead and start baking our cupcakes and we'll relate it to that as we go along." Her mom then shows her the seating chart and asks, "How many rows of how many chairs are there?" Megan says, "Well, there's 4 rows of 3 chairs." Her mom says, "So how many people can attend our party?" She responds, "Well, 4 rows of 3 chairs is 4 times 3, which equals 12. Now, Megan, how many cupcakes can we bake in this baking pan?" Megan says, "Well, there's 3 rows of 4 cupcakes, so 3 times 4 equals 12. "Hey, that was the same as the seating chart, but it looked different." Her mom says, "Right, that's what the commutative property is saying, that 3 times 4 equals 4 times 3, even though they look a little bit different." Now, what if we double the seating chart? Elizabeth says, "Well, we have 4 times 3, and that's 12. Now we need to multiply that by 2, which gives us 24. Now let's look at our baking sheets. That's 3 times 4, which is 12, and now we multiply it by 2, which also gives us 24. Her mom asks if she knows what property that is. Megan goes over to her textbook and says it's the associative property, which is when 3 or more numbers are multiplied, the product is the same regardless of the grouping of factors. Now it's time to put the cupcakes into the oven. Let's set the timer for 60 minutes. How many timers do we need? Megan says we just need 1 timer. Okay, well if we only need 1 timer for 60 minutes, how long is it going to be until the cupcakes are done? Megan says 60 minutes. Her mom says, "Okay, good job. So 60 times 1 is 60. Does that look like any of the properties you're learning in your class?" "Yes," Megan says. "It's known as the multiplicative identity property, which is the product of any number times 1 is that number." Her mom said, "Now that we're waiting for the cupcakes to bake, what is the next property?" Megan says, "Well, it's called the distributive property, and by definition, it's the sum of 2 numbers times a third number is equal to the sum of each addend times the third number." So if we do A times the quantity of B plus C, we're going to get A times B plus A times C. So all we need to do is distribute throughout the parentheses. Oh, it looks like the cupcakes are done. How many cupcakes did we originally put into the oven? Well, 4 times 3 times 2 is 24. So we put 24 cupcakes into the oven originally. Now, what if we take all 24 out of the oven? How many are left baking? Megan says, if we put 24 in and take 24 out, we get 0 cupcakes left in the oven. Her mom says, "Good job. That's what we call the inverse property." The inverse property is when a number is added to its additive inverse, the sum is always 0. So 24 plus negative 24 is 0. Megan and her mom waited for the cupcakes to cool down so they could frost them and take them